Sometimes there's so much buzz around a movie that you just don't want to watch it if you're like me. Like, you just hear from these people, and yeah, the movie people are talking about it. The people who get the early access and, review every single movie, they start buzzing about it. And you're like, okay, it's on your radar. And then, that random friend that you have that goes to a movie theater every other year is somehow like they heard about it and they went and saw it and they're like, how did you not see this? You're a movie person. Well, that's what's happened with me. I heard about this little indie horror movie and I was like, okay, it seems like every single indie horror movie, it gets put out by Neon or A24 and every single one of them does, just like so much money at the box office. And then I watch them and they're fine. They're fine. But I was like, this is going to be like that. This movie is not like that. I finally watched Obsession, and today on This Movie Got Me, we're talking about this sensation of a movie, Obsession.
Obsession.
You're the only person I get to really talk to.
You're too.
Have you ever actually flirted with Nikki?
One wish will. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
It's weird how you two are dating all of a sudden. Like, super dating.
I love you so much.
Is she okay?
No.
Obsession. Rated R. Welcome to episode 3 of This Movie Got Me. Today we are talking about how Obsession got me terrified. All right. I got so scared in this movie. I have not gotten that scared in a movie in a very long time. Now, to be fair, I am not a horror guy. I'm watching more and more over the last few years because Hollywood has kind of become obsessed with horror movies. We're getting one, every 2 weeks, it feels like. And, every couple months there's one that comes around and it gets everyone talking. And a lot of people are going to the movie theater specifically to see horror movies. So I'm seeing more of them. But historically, it's taken me a long time to get into horror because I get scared real easy. All right. I'm a scaredy cat little boy who could not go and see this by myself at the theater. So I had to wait and watch it once it came on digital with my wife holding her hand because she watches all the scary movies and she's fine. Me, I gotta start turning lights on, I'm talking throughout the movie just to keep myself sane. And, I would have been one of those really annoying audience members had I seen this in the theater, but holy crap, was this a great movie. All right. This is one of my favorite movies of the year so far, which isn't shocking, probably, if you're listening to this podcast. So many people are loving this movie. It's made $400 million at the box office already. Like, for a little indie movie, this is like Napoleon Dynamite level money, like just hand over fist, just making all kinds of money off of a really small budget. Coming from the YouTuber Curry Barker. I didn't know anything about this guy. I saw a few little shorts that he made. It seemed like most of the stuff that he did was humor based and well produced, but I wouldn't recognize the name, wouldn't even recognize the face. And this guy wrote and directed this movie. It stars a couple random people. Probably the most well-known is the girl who plays Nikki, Indy Navarrete. Probably butchered that. But she was in Superman and Lois. She plays Lana Lang's daughter. And so she's a main person on that show. So I did recognize her. But the other actors are, in very small roles. This is a lot of newcomers. And I would say the 4 main people in this movie just rocked it. I mean, phenomenal performances across the board. The girl who played Nikki, she's obviously at the forefront of all that. She is, Oscar worthy, I think. I'm not trying to be, exaggerating, but it's pretty good. But even Bear, Michael Johnston, he gives a good performance, but the friends too, Ian and Sarah, Cooper Tomlinson, Megan Lawless, they're all phenomenal. Those 4. And Andy Richter is also really good in this movie. And if I was going to say one gripe against this movie, it would be that I need more Andy Richter. How dare you, Curry Barker? You give me Andy Richter in a music shop, and then you only give him like 6 lines. I know you probably like that was your budget, like that was the biggest part of your budget was getting someone like that in your movie. We've seen this over the last few years. It reminds me of Chris Stuckman getting Keith David in his movie for just a couple moments. It's like that, but I need more Andy Richter in my life, and what a fun environment for him to be in the music shop, and we only get a couple lines. So I was a little disappointed with that, but other than that, pretty phenomenal movie. Great performances across the board. This is one movie that, it just looks good. Everything in this movie, I was so impressed with the cinematography. The colors look awesome. This is a movie in an age where everything looks like generic crap. Example, Supergirl looks like the most bland, AI looking version of Guardians of the Galaxy. It just looks ugh. And then here comes Obsession, and the saturation of the colors, the use of shadows. Like, this is awesome. This, and even though I didn't really like the movie too much, Disclosure Day, are two of probably the best looking movies of the last couple months. And I was pretty impressed with the cinematography in this thing. The camera movements were awesome. The reveals, this slow pan downward to show that there's, a cat on the floor and like all this kind of stuff. It built dread in a really good way, and a constant dread throughout the movie with the use of those car windows, man. And you see it in the poster. That's on purpose. That poster is not just because it looks cool. It's because that's a constant throughout the movie. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's get into a little bit of the story because I like talking through these movies because it's just so fun. So you have Bear, and he's in this friend group. They're all working at the music shop with Andy Richter, and they go to trivia night. That's the thing. And Bear likes Nikki, and he's just obsessed with this girl. There's the title for you, right? He has this weird fascination with her, but also this constant fear of saying what he's feeling and expressing that and getting rejected. He's not a man. He's not ready to, put himself out there and say what he needs to say, but he keeps on talking about it, and he wants to do it at trivia night. And, I just totally relate to Ian, the friend who's just like, don't ruin this for me, man. I got one thing that you guys will go to, and this is what I'm about. I love trivia night. It is a sacred place. Don't ruin this for me. Don't throw the vibes off. Don't make it to be a thing where we can't go and do this because I need this. I totally relate. That's me in movies. And in your friend group, you can't have someone who's like, oh, I don't want to go see that movie. You got to get that person out of there, right? So if Bear's going to throw off the vibes for the friend group for trivia night, Ian is going to lose his mind, and I totally relate. But before trivia night, Bear decides to stop and get a crystal, maybe to help him with the vibes, a present for Nikki. And this is where the movie starts to get really interesting, because he goes there and there's all the normal hippy dippy stuff. There's crystals everywhere, sage, probably things that get smoked, that's the shop. But then there's this one area, and it's lit in such a specific way to tell you that this is going to be important. And it's got this vintage packaging of all these almost kid versions of magical items. And I loved it. I was looking at that, and you get the One Wish Willow, which is the main thing of this movie. But there's other items too. And in my head, I'm thinking spin-offs, we get sequels. Are they going to focus on these other things? There's 2 that have signs above it. There's one about a magic eye so that you can see the future, and then what looks like a baby version of a voodoo doll. And I'm just thinking in my head, awesome. Let's see those movies too. Like let's watch those. And I'm hoping that maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the plan for Curry Barker. And, obviously this movie made 400 million so far. So I am thinking like they're going to make this a cinematic universe. And I would love to see that Magic Eye and Voodoo Doll movie after watching this, because that would be a lot of fun. So he's looking there. The One Wish Willow catches, his eye, probably because the packaging is so great. As a logo design guy, I'm just like, that's some good props right there. But he purchases it. And he brings it with him, fails multiple times to tell Nikki how he feels. And then we get into the car. And so much happens in cars in this movie. But they're talking about, Nikki and her book. And I think that's where we probably come with the theme. The theme of this movie really is like, what is the nature of love? And what does it look like to love somebody? And for Bear, he doesn't understand. Like, she's saying that she's writing a love novel, like a book about love. And he's like, oh, a romance. And she's like, no. And she even gets like a little bit offended to be like, no, it's not a romance. It's a love story. And he doesn't understand that. And I think that's the crux of the whole movie, is that he just doesn't understand what love is. To him, it's the physical intimacy. It's the lust. It's the attraction of someone, being physically with somebody. That's what he understands love to be. And she's saying, no, it's more than that. It's deeper than that. She gets frustrated with him. It's time to go. It's time to finally say how he feels. He can't do it. She even asks him point blank, do you like me? And he says no. And it's just like, oh my goodness, this guy, he just will not man up. He needs to go watch Mulan, watch the training sequence, because he needs to be a man. And he refuses to be that man. So he just wusses out, and he's in the car, and he just is like, this is what I got to do. I got to make a wish. And he wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone in the world. And this is where it gets a little interesting of how did that wish work? Because in my head, I think that it took his understanding of love into account. Because when you love someone more than anybody, you will sacrifice more for them than anyone else, right? Like you will make sure that they're happy at all costs. And that is definitely not what happens in this movie. It is a selfish affection that Nikki has for Bear from that breaking of the stick on. And to me, I think that's more to do with Bear than it is the One Wish Willow. Because the One Wish Willow, at least later on when Ian does it and, $1 billion starts falling from the sky, that could have come in a lot of horrible ways, but it's just raining money. And that's a pretty good thing to happen. And so I think like it takes what you're meaning into account when you make that wish. That's my theory. And so it takes Bear's understanding of love into account to then make that happen within Nikki's soul, or at least in her body. Probably not her soul, because that's something that we're going to see later on. But Nikki all of a sudden changes everything. So before she was like kind of against Bear because of what he was saying about like the romance and the love story stuff, and how she was pretty sure that he liked her, but he was kind of wussing out, and she could tell. She could understand that. And, the freaky Nikki thing, which was later terrifying, but like this nickname that Nikki had in high school that she hates. And he says it as a joke to try to be cruel. The kind of flirting that only dorks do, where they have to be super mean and cruel to the opposite gender in order for them to, be attracted to them. That's awful. It doesn't really work, but people think that it does. Well, he does that. And so she's mad at him. But then because of the breaking of that twig, because the music happened with the One Wish Willow, because now she is forced to have this attraction to him. Everything shifts. She wants to be with him that night, go to his house, and from there on, it becomes just this crazy level of, yes, obsession for her about Bear. And at first, Bear loves it. Like he's excited. You could see right away that he knows that something is wrong. She is totally changed, but it's convenient for him. It fits what he wants for his life. So he just goes with it. I mean, from that first night, she's wanting to like sleep in his bed, and he's just like, he knows that this thing worked, but he doesn't care because he likes her. And so it's working, and if he gets to, have that physical intimacy that he is desperate for with this girl, then he doesn't care what it does to her. And like that is maybe the most selfish thing. Like Bear, yes, he's a conflicted character. And yes, at the end, he attempts to make things right several times. So you're kind of rooting for him. But I got to say, maybe one of the most unlikable characters in a movie in a long time, in a way that you still are interested in where he's going, what he's doing, but you just hate this guy. But you can tell that the movie also hates him, because the worst stuff starts happening to him. At first, it becomes like this, annoyance with Nikki. That, oh man, you can't let me go anywhere or do anything on my own. That's so frustrating. But then, she starts making him lunches, and in the lunch, oh my goodness, man, when he opened that thing up and it was the cat sandwich and he like barfs in the pail, I'm just like, oh my goodness, he deserves it. But holy crap, that's hilariously dark. And it's so gross. And Nikki just constantly does stuff like that, whether it's the freak out in the restaurant that everyone has seen, the no, don't do that. That's fun. And it shows like her level of performance, like she's so good in this role where she's constantly having to, be this emotion and then just at the drop of a dime, just change it completely or wake up. And then you start finding out like that's what's going on. It's essentially like that Nikki is trapped in her own body and being forced. And the first time that we really see that is, at the car, the initial, the breaking of the willow and the wish happening. And she's like, no, that's like, she kind of goes like, what am I doing? This is kind of crazy or something like that. And that happens a couple times, but then it goes away. And then we get like the real eye opener when, now Bear is concerned. He's concerned. He wants to call the number on the box, see what's going on. He goes back. First, he goes back to the crystal store where he got it. And the guy, like, what a funny moment to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, he's like, where's the One Wish Willow? Like all that stuff. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, dude, it's right here. I was just kidding. Like, so funny. What a great moment. But now he calls and he's talking to some guy who is like the most chill dude ever. I think that might be Curry Barker's voice, by the way. I don't know. I just have a hinting suspicion that it might be. But he calls the number and the guy's just like, what do you want? Oh, yeah. And he's like, but he's totally understanding of the One Wish Willow and its effects. Like he doesn't think he's crazy. He's just acting like it's totally normal. And then he says, do you want to talk to her? Do you want to talk to her? Wait, how can he just talk to Nikki? Like that moment freaked me out. I'm just like, no. Okay, so is it like a demon? Is it a demon living in her? Is it like the force of the One Wish Willow? That body that's walking around as Nikki is not Nikki at all. It's not like it's manipulating her. It's not Nikki. Nikki is trapped, and you hear her scream through the phone. And Bear is so quick to hang up. And the fact that he never tries to talk to her again, like he never initiates anything to try and reach her. shows just how evil Bear is and how selfish he is, because he is just okay with using Nikki's body for his own pleasure, and not just like the stuff that happens in the bed, which is horrific when you think about it, but also just like the living. It's not her, and he knows it from that moment on, and yet he continues to live out this fantasy that he has that he's with her. And the friends start to wisen up to it. At first it's just weird, how often they're together after like there wasn't anything going on, but then they see Nikki starting to act way different. Then we start to get a little bit of a backstory between Nikki and Ian, that there might have been a relationship there, or at least a fling going on. And now Sarah is more interested in Bear, and Bear realizes what he could have had, but Nikki won't let it happen. She has to have Bear no matter what. Everyone is a threat who is trying to get in the way of the relationship or take time away from her and Bear. And so at first it becomes like funny things, like how did, 20 rolls of duct tape get on the front door? I don't know. That's just strange. How weird. All right, see you later. Like that kind of stuff. And then it gets way more violent and way more cruel, not letting him go anywhere, screaming at him at the drop of a hat, peeing on the floor multiple times, which was a little much, by the way. Like that's one of the things with horror that I have issues with. I get that you're trying to show how grotesque it is, but it was a little bit much. But, I get it. You're showing the progression of just how crazy it gets. Self-harm quickly becomes a thing. And all the while, Ian is like, what is going on? He is a really good friend in this movie, just like trying to be there for him, but also he's super skeptical. And whether that's because he secretly wanted a relationship with Nikki, or whether it's just because he knows Nikki better, you could tell like he is also like he's playing both sides really well, like of being a friend to both of them and being concerned. In the back you have Sarah, she's trying to get into college and getting rejection letters, and you can see that she obviously has a thing for Bear. Bear is so dumb that he doesn't even see it, even though Nikki already told him at the beginning of the movie that there's something going on there, and he just doesn't care because he is so selfish and focused and obsessed with Nikki that he doesn't even see that there's another girl who is way more into him, who actually has a lot more in common, and it could have been like a really healthy, good relationship. But he is just too far gone for that. But he gets a text from her, saying that she needs to see him. And of course, Nikki can't know, right? So Nikki is asleep. And this is probably the second scariest moment of the movie for me, because it is just, it's not like it's like a jump scare, but it is just so eerie for, Bear to be slowly, trying to get out of the room while Nikki is asleep, to not have her freak out and, do whatever, harm him, harm her, like he just wants out and wants to go see Sarah. But then she's just like, Bear, kill me. And we've had moments like that a bunch in different kinds of movies, like the just end my suffering kind of line, but it's so much more effective in this movie because of what she says after. Bear says the line that maybe makes him the best villain of the year. And I would put him as a villain in this movie. You can't tell me. It's not just like, oh, he's a conflicted character. Even though there might be a little bit of redemption in the end, he is the villain of this movie because he says the line, "Is it so bad to be with me?" Bro, she can't make that decision. Yes, it's bad. It's terrible. You have taken every ounce of agency away from her. She cannot do anything for herself. She is the only way she could communicate is when this other personality of the One Wish Willow is asleep. And you're like, is it so bad to be with me? What a terrible human being. And she's like, she says the line though, "I've never been with you, Bear." And it's like, that's eye-opening. Like, it's just like, not only is it the phone call where do you want to talk to her? So there's like that separation, but she has never been with him. Like, it's not her. That romantic idea that he had has nothing to do with the actual person of Nikki. And in that moment, you understand like that thing that's walking around is some kind of a demon, zombie, weird obsession machine. And it is not Nikki at all. And Bear decides to go and see Sarah, and they're having this conversation. She has another letter, like like you could see like that could have been a cute relationship had it not been for this whole story. And then out of nowhere, Nikki comes in. And this is what I'm talking about with these car scenes. Curry Barker just knocked it out of the park with this constant buildup throughout the movie of having this shot to where you could see the window. The driver's seat, the passenger seat, it was always to the side. The person was to the side, and there was so much room for that window. And every scene in that car, we are looking in that window. We're waiting. What's going to happen in that window, right? Like he built in this anticipation throughout the movie. And then like it happens so often throughout the movie that we kind of forget about it. And we're not looking at the window anymore. We're just like, this is a really cool shot. And this conversation is interesting. And then boom, brick right through that window. And then smash, 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 smash. And it was so effective of a jump scare because it was just like, you did this the whole movie. Oh my goodness. Chef's kiss. Curry Barker, you knew what you were doing. Having that shot there the entire movie, and then so that we're not looking for it anymore, and then that's when you get us with that, oh yeah, someone's coming through that window. Phenomenal. Now, I will say, me and my wife kind of looked at each other and were like, there's the budget. Like, because when the head is going back and forth into the brick and just the eyeballs and everything, it looked bad. All right. It just did. And that's something that's really hard to do. And to me, that's the budget. Now, other horror people might be like, no, it was great. Practical effects and like, cool. But also it didn't look super great and kind of took me out of it for a sec. Like the effect of her coming through the window, phenomenal. The actual like whatever creature design that they used for like making it look like her brain's being bashed in, not as effective. But then it becomes like we got to hide the body, and this is where everything gets amped up. Now Bear is like, I have to do something. I have to tell people. So he's desperate. He goes to his friend, make a wish that I never wished this, which is a pretty good wish. Like, is that the way to get rid of this thing? Probably. That was actually pretty smart of Bear, even though he is the villain of this movie. That's a good plan of just like, wish that this never happened. And Ian instead thinks that he's joking. He's like, I wish for $1 billion, and money stacks just start falling from the ceiling, which was super funny. And so that's not going to work. He goes back to the house, and that's when we get like some of the creepiest moments of just this thing. I won't call it Nikki anymore. This thing, there's been this buildup. We've seen it a couple times. Probably the first time was maybe the most effective. There was a fight that was going on, and Nikki starts like walking like stop motion-y backwards, and it's just like that. It's not a lot. But in that context, I was not expecting it. And that was the scariest moment for me. Like that first time that she does like the slow-mo walking backwards thing that probably, every street performer who does dance routines on the sidewalk can do and is phenomenal. But I was not expecting it from that thing. And so I was just like, whoa! Like on the couch, just like freaking out because it just looked so weird. And that happens a few times in this last scene. And, Bear goes into the bathroom and he's just like, I guess I got to end it, because Nikki's out there being crazy. They already killed Sarah. Sarah's body is there, which was really gross. Another one of those, like, you didn't need that. We didn't need that kind of grotesqueness. And also why does she have it? Like, that's just strange. I didn't even understand that part. But she's just gone. This whatever this Nikki thing is, she's gone. She's crazy. She is super dangerous. And Bear, it knows that the only way, this guy on the phone told him from Tabby Cat, I think is the name of the company, which I hope is like the whole brand of these movies moving forward with that Magic Eye and Voodoo Doll movie. Like this could be like a whole universe, super cool. But that guy on the phone was just like, you got to kill yourself. That's the only way. And so he puts a bunch of pills in, and it's a really dark moment. And you're just kind of like, maybe, you know, if you call the police, maybe they can revive you. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you technically die and then they, you know, paddle you and you come back to life, maybe you all can survive. He doesn't do it, though. He doesn't do it because he swallows them, and he's about to puke it up because he just can't be a man. That was him. That was his moment to be at least in some way heroic, and he backed out at the last second. But before he can actually fully back out, we hear the snap. Oh man, when we heard that snap from the bathroom, I was like, that is phenomenal. All right, because Ian's body's on the floor, Sarah's body's on the floor, and there's only one person who could be breaking that one wish willow, and it's whatever you want to call this thing that's possessing Nikki. And you know what she's going to wish for. And from that moment, you know that there's a time on it. Like there's a stopwatch going that eventually, you know, Bear, he's going to kick the bucket. But for those last few moments, he is not in control, and he has to feel the exact same thing as Nikki. And you have this really funny, dark, twisted little like meet cute kind of between these two versions of One Wish Willows, where they're just like staring at each other. They're covered in blood. There's, you know, people dead on the floor, but they're just like smiling and being like, oh, it's us. You know, I love you and you love me, and start making out. And like, it's just like, oh, so funny. But until all of a sudden Bear is gone. But once Bear's gone, Nikki's back. Nikki is back, and her life is over, right? Like as soon as Nikki comes back to herself, you're just like, oh my goodness, this poor girl is going to be looked at as this psycho murderer who killed all of her friends. And like, there's so much proof. And like, you know, that they didn't, you know, cover, like no gloves, fingerprints everywhere. And it's just like this girl who was like, you know, imprisoned in her own body is now going to go to prison forever. You know, like, it's just, what a sad story, but also what a dope story. And I just thought this movie was phenomenal. Like, I just really enjoyed it. The jump scares really got me. The twisted nature of it, the humor in it. I just think pretty much all of it worked until that ending, because for me, it was a little dissatisfying. Like, is it funny? Yes. Is it sad? Yes. But I just wish that it had some kind of conclusion to where Nikki gets off scot-free. I'm just so worried for Nikki after everything that happened to her. And it's just like, it's like knowing that she's going to go to prison forever. It's just like really dark. And I wish that in the midst of all this darkness, like, yes, we have the humor throughout, that there would have been at least like this brighter tone, like that they would have blamed it on Bear, you know, like that, oh, Bear did all this and that she's the victim or something. Like, I wish that they had something like that to just kind of brighten it up a little bit. But overall, you know, pretty phenomenal movie. One that I'll be watching again. I'll definitely buy this on maybe even on 4K, just because of how great the cinematography was. To me, this is right up there with Weapons. I'm not sure which one I like better, Obsession or Weapons. I'm kind of leaning Weapons just because there's more to the story. This is like a very simple story, which could be better sometimes, but maybe if there was a little bit more satisfying of an ending, that I would like this better than Weapons, because Weapons, like, that ending was satisfying as heck. You know, like it's just like, you know, when Gladys gets everything that has been coming to her from those kids, I'm thinking like that's a great way to end this. But for Obsession, you don't quite have that satisfying ending. And so for me, I think I'd probably put Weapons ahead, but I would say like those are great horror movies. And the fact that they're even in the same conversation, I think speaks to the quality of Obsession. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on Obsession. This movie got me terrified. I will watch it again and get probably just as scared. Those robotic movements backwards, man, that was so effective. Man. So I'm excited to see where these actors go. You know, these are, again, just 4 actors that, you know, don't have a lot on their resume. You know, now they're probably going to get put up for, you know, Marvel projects and big Hollywood projects. I want to see it. I want to see where each one of these actors go, because everyone was phenomenal in this movie. And Curry Barker, I hope he sticks with this little universe that he's making. Maybe like start a production company of like Tabby Cat Productions or something, and make it into like, yeah, let's see that Magic Eye movie. Let's see that Voodoo Doll movie, and maybe something else that gets introduced in those. Because I think having those signs up makes you think like that's probably where he's going with this stuff. But let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section. Did you love Obsession? Do you have any gripes with it? Do you think I misunderstood some of the themes? Let me know at whatever down in the comment section of wherever you're watching. And thanks for checking this out. I will see you in the next one. Bye.